For us, it's a great day, as you know, Ed. So good morning once again. Always a joy, always a privilege, always an honor. We feel on behalf of this group very, very grateful for the generosity and there's no other word, it's generosity. Since the very first year of this program, of sharing your precious time with us, you of course know everything about this program and make things easier. And this is a group composed by business and thought leaders of, I'd say, many of Brazil's leading companies and institutions, and most of them at the C-level or on boards of directors. And you know very well that we are debating these critical issues every month based on a book that's selected to serve as this kind of a framework or reference for the discussions. And in the four first editions of this program since 2021, you awarded us with the privilege of your presence. And as Angela has mentioned, that the session with you in every year has been rated by all participants as the most memorable part of the program. So on top of all of this, please let me say publicly that being able to call you friend has been one of the greatest gifts of this program for me. And you know that for me, you are a mentor. I have the privilege of having these regular sessions with you, regular conversations that you generously allowed us. And so I'd like to publicly thank you for this. And to have such a mentor as you, it's really something that I never thought it would be possible, frankly. And you don't need introductions, Ed, but because we're recording this session, and for the sake of starting in a sort of a more formal way, I would like to highlight to all participants that Professor Hess is Professor Emeritus of Business Administration at the University of Virginia. He spent more than 20 years in the business world as a senior executive at Warburg Paribas, Becker, Butcher and Company, the Robert Bass Group, and Arthur Andersen before joining academia back in 2002. In 2007, he joined the faculty of the Darden Business School of the University of Virginia, and he is also a Batten Faculty Fellow Emeritus. Professor Hess has taught in over 20 executive education programs in places such as the IES in Barcelona, the Indian School of Business, the Georgia Tech, and AVT Denmark. He consults regularly with public and private companies and some federal government agencies. Professor Hess is the author of 15 books and counting, over 140 practitioner articles, and over 60 Darden business cases. And the common theme of his work is high individual and organizational performance. His book, Smart Growth, which is fantastic, was named Top 25 Business Book in 2010 by Inc. magazine and was awarded with the Wachovia Award for Research Excellence. Learn or Die, Hyperlearning, Humility is the New Smart were also Amazon bestsellers, and his latest book here is On Your Work Journey, The Path to Meaningful Work and Happiness in the Age of Smart Technology and Radical Change. And by the way, Ed, today is the International Day of Happiness instituted by the United Nations. So this is a book, as he says, for every person 18 years old or older who wants to have meaningful work and a happy life in this smart technology age. Just to conclude, Professor Hess articles and texts and work has appeared in so many outlets such as Harvard Business Review, Fortune Magazine, European Business Review, Fast Companies, Forbes, the Washington Post, Financial Times, and so on, and interviews for the major networks such as CNBC, Fox, and so on. So Ed, without further ado, I'm going to kick off this conversation with 4 or 5 questions and then open for questions for the members of our group, whom I also greet and thank very much for being here. That's okay?
And let me notice that there are a lot of friends here that already joined us in previous sessions with you, Ed, and they're here again to
Ask
listen
it
to
to come
you.
back.
So this is how much we love you, okay?
Yes, we really love you, and that's why they
Thank you
wanted to
so
come back.
much for being with us again.
Yes. So, Ed, I'd like to start off by asking you about the meaning and implications of this AI revolution, both for humans and businesses. What is going on in the world of AI, and how is it going to impact the workplace and the business world in the next few years? And in particular, what will be the key qualities needed for employees and business leaders to thrive in this era? Thank you once again.
Well, thank you very much. AI is here, and it's advancing at a phenomenal rate. The leading experts, and when I'm talking leading experts, the people that I'm talking about, the 4 or 5 people that basically have built AI. The leading experts are now predicting that AI will be able to think like humans and even outthink human beings within 2 years or less. Let that sink in. So AI is on the road. It's so interesting, the speed at which it's happening. And so what does this mean? It means to me that AI is going to impact every business, large and small. No one is going to be basically either left behind or left out, okay? Every type of public business, and public businesses, all right, not private businesses, are going to ultimately consolidate into bigger businesses. AI is going to impact small businesses and large businesses. But what's going to happen with AI, I'll use the big technology companies in the United States, all right? There's lots of technology companies in the United States that are basically using AI, building AI, et cetera, et cetera. I am convinced, and other people also are convinced, that ultimately, all right, we're not going to have 7, 8 technology companies or 7, 8 company-wise. Companies are going to be consolidated. And so it's going to become like this, because the use of AI will be able to do so many things that humans used to be needed to do, that the best AI results will ultimately be the winners. So every business is going to be impacted. And now, when industries start consolidating, what does that mean? That means fewer and fewer workers. So work as we know it today will not exist for many people. And those who do work will do so only so long as they can stay relevant by performing tasks that advancing technology can't do. And that means us humans will have to continuously adapt at the pace of change. And if you look at what's going on in the world, volatile impermanence is the new norm. Volatility that's going on, the speed at which this is going on. Unfortunately, all right, a lot of people are going to be left out. And the businesses that basically do well are going to be businesses that basically help people bring their best self to work. We're only going to have work so long as we can stay relevant, that by performing tasks that AI can't do. Now, we've already said up front, AI is going to probably be able to think as well as we are, or even outthink us within 2 years. And these are the people that are making this statement now are basically the people who started out decades ago building AI, all right, in their household names in the technology field. So what's that mean? AI is going to change how you work. AI is going to change how you live. AI will become your new life partner. Volatility is the new norm. To stay in the AI game, we all must transform our ways of being. We've got to rewire ourselves. We're going to have to continuously optimize our performance in ways that allow us to continuously learn, unlearn, and relearn at the speed of change. And it all comes down to becoming your best self. How do I bring my best self to work and my continuous best self? Because the stuff is going to continually excel. And this best self means that you have to take ownership of your ego, your mind, your body, your behaviors, your thinking, your listening, and how you relate to others. So the thing that I'm emphasizing in the beginning is the speed at which this is happening is going to increase the pressure on organizations to basically continue to be highly adaptive, all right? Impermanence is the new norm. And how do we basically become highly adaptive when we human beings, generally speaking, are wired, okay? We're wired in ways that basically are not highly adaptive learning ways, all right? We're wired by our egos, all right, and how we think to seek confirmation of what we already believe. Affirmation of our egos. We strive for cohesiveness of our mental models, our stories of how the world works. Well, the speed at which this is going, you're going to have to become highly adaptive learners. And you're going to have to maintain in your organization highly adaptive learners, because there's going to be consolidation in every group, if you will, out there. And so that's the challenge here is to how to manage myself so that I can basically bring my best self to the world every day. And the key is how-to skills. How to manage your ego, your mind, your body, your emotions, how you listen, how you think, and how you behave. It requires you to learn to think in different ways. Critical thinking, creative and imaginative thinking, exploratory discovery thinking, emergent thinking. It requires you to be a good listener and be able to have high quality making meaning conversations with others. And one of the key things is, the one thing that AI is right now going to not be able to do as well as human beings is anything that happens to do with emotions in the workplace. Human emotions ultimately will be the differentiator between AI and human thinking. Human emotions. And positive emotional engagement in the workplace is going to be the differentiator between the winners and the losers. And so let's just stop for a minute there and think about that. What did I really just say about emotions? And how much time do you spend in your organization on emotions? How you engage with people inside your organization? How you engage with people, customers outside your organization? How do you basically take ownership of your emotions? How do you manage your emotions? It's interesting. Well, quite some time ago, I was in Seattle with the big tech companies and et cetera, and we brought a group together and we were talking about this emotions thing. And it was very interesting. At that time, this was about 15 years ago, there was in the room about 10% of the people were women. And research had been done from MIT and Carnegie Mellon, which shows this, and this research is still valid. In fact, the research was so surprising, Carnegie Mellon ran 3 different programs to test it. MIT ran 5 programs. So there's 8 programs which happened in this time period that I'm talking about. And what they were testing was the makeup of teams, small teams. And so they created teams with 5 men, no women, 4 men, 1 woman, 3 men, 2 women. You see where I'm going, right? I can stop. And you see, you can invert it, right? All right. And we were talking about this, and the research at MIT and at Carnegie Mellon stated that the #1 best teams in all their research were teams with 5 women and no men. The second best was 4 women and 1 man. The third best was 3 women and 2 men. You're getting the idea here? And it was very interesting. This was, as I said, this was a very senior group. And I had a senior woman raise her hand, and she said, "Professor Hess, can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Sure." And she says, "Based on the science, why do we women need men?" And you can imagine the men, you know, their faces turned red. They started frowning. I'd never been asked a question like that. And I was just really moving as fast as I could to figure out, okay, how am I going to basically, you know, keep the people here that are all wanting to be here and not basically have, you know, umpteen men walk out the room. And so I figured out very quickly what I should say. What do you think I said? Just think in your mind. What do you think I said in her answer? What I said was, "What do you think?" And I let her make the discussion. And she said, "Well, you know, I think that basically we can do it by ourselves. The only thing that we need," this is what she was saying, and men, don't get upset with me, okay? It's just sets the stage. And she says, "Well, you know, if we want to have babies, we can basically, you know, buy the sperms of the brightest people in our companies or brightest people in everything and make our own babies, and we don't even need men for that." And, you know, all of a sudden, I get 10, 15 people, men, faces all red, basically stood up and walked out of the room. I mean, so why am I telling that story? Because it's very important. This whole now AI game, it's very important that we focus on emotions, we focus on managing our emotions, and we focus on the skills, if you will, the skills of how to, in our organization, build positive emotional engagement with other human beings in our organization and in with our customers. Positive emotional engagement with other humans will be what differentiates us from technology. And that requires a lot of people to do a lot of work, all right, on themselves. How do you manage your emotions? And that goes also back, if you will, to mastery of self, all right? Quiet ego, quiet mind, quiet, calm body, positivity, okay? The great work that was done in Stanford and at the University of Michigan on positivity, emotions. Also good work down in North Carolina done on this. Mm-hmm. And so this thing, how do I work on my emotions? How do I take ownership of them? Okay. How do I, in the business, create an environment where people feel safe, where people manage and can help each other? And it all comes down to our high two skills, high two skills. And the best, another way to put this in, the largest number of human jobs will be those service jobs that require positive emotional engagement with other human beings. Those are going to be the jobs that are going to be the hardest for AI to do.
Wow.
That will be the hardest. And so the game of, and the emotional side is also all about building caring, trusting relationships with others, all right? Because the best conversations come up when people truly listen to each other and are open-minded. And that's what this is all about. What is the best self? What is the best self? Why is it so important to do the work? And it's hard work. Don't get me wrong. It's hard work to basically bring to the table quiet ego, quiet mind, a calmness, all right? That's ultimately leads to us being able to talk better, listen better, create better, to have positive reactions coming out of what we're working on.
Well, Ed, it's absolutely fantastic. And please, folks, feel free to raise your hand to ask questions. But Ed, perhaps Angela is going to mention some.
Yes. Can I say something as a question before? Ed, since you raised the gender issue, I would like to go a little bit deeper on this because for women, we have our own ups and downs every day of our cycle, right? So, and being in touch with that, being in contact with that, is being in contact with our own vulnerability. And so it's, and I'll go deep on that on my program, specific program for women, the Family Leader program. But I wanted to, for you, if you could share with us, what was your trigger moment? What was your epiphany, your aha moment that you, because you didn't born this way, right? So how was this process for you? And how was this triggering moment for you that you could be and could be the creator of another story for you?
Yeah.
Could you share with us, please?
Yes.
And by the way, Ed, just to complement Angela's question, which is very important, and many companies still try to disconnect emotions from the daily organizational life. And I think that you had experiences on that during your career. So it's so difficult, and it requires a process of personal unfolding, and to mature yourself. So this is very important for us to know how to become our best selves, and what are the practices and the mindset for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me start with the, I guess, difficult one. All right. That's Angela's. Basically, do I have permission to just be very honest and share? Okay.
Please.
People don't, and I'm not embarrassed anymore about it. It happened a long time ago. But my wife and I were having, very fortunate. I have a very smart wife, you know, multiple degrees, all this stuff. Also, she's a wonderful person. And early on in our marriage, we were having a conversation, and it was getting pretty heated from my perspective. All right. I mean, in other words, I was sort of probably having some redness and everything. Didn't use curse words or anything, but I was basically, being very male. And she basically, in a nice way, she says, "Wait a minute, let's stop for a minute. Do you realize that when you feel negative emotions, that you have the possibility of taming those down? Do you realize that you can manage your emotions?" Now, I was in my, early 30s when this occurred. And I said, "No, I didn't know that. And I didn't know that." And she says, "Well, I think you need to work on it." And so what I did was I went back to, I was very fortunate to be working with some very brilliant CEOs, the founder of Southwest Airlines. I just was very lucky to be inside certain companies. And so I talked to some of those leaders. And three of those leaders, American Eco Outfitters, from the Ritz-Carlton Corporation and Southwest Airlines, basically, took me aside and says, "Well, here's how we run our organization." And in Southwest Airlines, their motto was the Love Airlines. And he says, "We're the Love Airlines." He says, "How do you think I react to every person in this, in this building?" And so emotions, there were people who basically learned the emotional side that helped me after I was called out, helped me do that. All right. And then the second big thing was, and I don't mean to go on too much, but I'm trying, is that I was very fortunate when I came out of the business world to go into the academic world, and I was, an outlier, and but I was able to basically create things that many schools were not able to create at the time. And what came to a factor is that I invited to have some superstars from outside of my university to come in and do a program jointly. And I was very fortunate to have the University of Michigan and Kim Cameron, who was one of the leading people in all about positivity. All right. Have you read any books on positivity, or do you know what positivity is? It's all about emotions. It's all about bringing a positive self to the table. And I started also learning positivity from Kim Cameron, who became a mentor of mine, and to this day is a leading person in the positivity area, which is all about emotions. And so that's how it all worked out. All right. My wife called me out, and I cared about her and everything. And I said, I got to find a way to fix this. I got to find a way, where is this emotional stuff for guys? How does it work? And so, over the years, over the many years, I learned and trained under people who were basically the experts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Absolutely. Yes. So perhaps we can start now having some questions from the members who are very, I'd say, eager to ask questions. So Dr. Jamal, and doctor because he's a physician, Professor Hess, so that's why we call him doctor as well.
Good.
Good morning, Professor Hess. It's a great pleasure to be with you. And I deal every day with human beings in front of me, and not only with physical, but mental illness and many illness coming from their works. I'd like to ask you, we know there is a large percentage of psychopaths in senior management. They have very positive financial results, but catastrophic relationships results. How can we talk about, how can we manage our emotions and relationships in this scenario? We know that we have risks. And so I believe that when we manage and when we talk about our emotions, we will do something good for us, for the organizations, for society. But the psychopaths block it in a way that may take people to be afraid. How can we put it in our lives? How can we really talk about our emotions?
Well, your psychopaths have to basically change. All right. I mean, and to change a psychopath is very hard work, but you generally, and I'm not, much more about your field than I know about your field. All right. So, but I'm talking now as just an average human being. Let's talk about it. All right. But the fact of the matter is those people have to change in order for the organization to optimize its performance in what's going to happen, which means there has to be a story as to why they need to change. And that story has to be created in a way that they can make meaning of, oh, okay, so what you're telling me is because of the complexity of everything that's going on, we need in the organization to be able to have positive emotional conversations, all right, in the sense, and that this is no longer my way or the highway. This is no longer than I know better than everybody else, all right? And then, it's sort of like, how do you optimize human performance? And to try to create a story that, look, yes, we've been doing this, and we're good and but look what's going to happen. So much consolidation, AI, so much speed. And how do we basically be on the leading edge of that? Well, we got to basically work in different ways. We got to basically help our teams work in different ways. And so how do we do that? We got to make them feel comfortable, all right, that they're going to basically make some mistakes. This is hard work, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think that my experience in those situations is that the only way those people change is they get scared to death that they're going to basically lose out, look bad, be bought by some organization that, and lose my job. It's fear. Okay, they've got to feel fear, because they're not going to feel love. They got to feel fear and say, holy mackerel, I need to, we need to basically, we got to change some things here. And because we got to optimize human emotional thinking in the workplace in order to differentiate ourselves from the competition. Because the other thing that's going to happen in every industry, as I've mentioned before, there's going to be massive consolidation. All right. They're not going to be 7 big technology companies anymore. All right. There's going to be consolidation. Who wins? The consolidators that basically optimize human performance. All right. It's not going to be AI optimizing. It's going to be the humans. How do we do better? And I've worked in a couple of companies where the similar issues that you talked about. And in the one company I'm specifically thinking about right now is that I went to the senior guy and we talked about what they were doing in the business and all this stuff, and I knew what they were doing, and I says, nice, and I basically laid out a story. He says, how long do you think you'll be able to maintain this? He says, I don't know. He says, because I'm getting some competition. Yeah. And I says, well, how are you going to stay ahead of the competition based on your model and everything? He said, we got to figure it out better. We got to do better. We got to think better. We got to listen better, he said. Okay. And how are you helping your people do that? And that's when the guy goes, excuse me? How are you helping your people to do that? All right. You want them to think better? listen better, perform better. Where does all that come from? They got to feel comfortable. They got to feel cared about, etc. And that company basically then every work, when they brought people together to have meetings, everything, they basically ended up, every meeting starts with a 3 to 4 minute meditation, and people then go around the room, where's your head, where's your heart, how you feeling? All right, now let's get together. Then at the end of the meeting, we go back. All right, how you feeling, etc. And that company went from, say, number 4 in an organization to number 1. And I mean, they're different organizations, but there had to be a reason that person had to basically do this, since he thinks already he knows everything and is smarter than anybody that's ever been da 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 da. But it's that, and again, it's just one person's experience. The only way I've been able to do that is to basically change their views, that they need. The emotional side's going to help me basically even be better than we are now, and that's going to make me even more richer than I am now. They don't necessarily say I'm very happy to do it or anything. It all comes down to money.
Thank you. Thank you, Hess.
Thank you very much.
Before Wilson's question, can we have a picture, please, everyone? So be prepared. I'll count until 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. Go. Let's see. It is good. Perfect.
We'll
Perfect.
create a panel ad with all the years, with all the pictures from all the years. And we're going to create a panel and send you.
Nice.
A good idea.
Wilson, please.
Please.
Other
Okay,
questions?
thank you for the opportunity. I have some notes here. Dr. Hess, your ideas are very inspiring, and your concepts are deep, meaningful in regards to humility as a key kind of behavior within companies. But in my case and generation, I think we were exposed to such a competitive and toxic corporate environment that I think I would need to be born again to rewrite my mind and behavior. Is it really possible for great CEOs to change their mindset? Have you seen many cases in your consultant jobs? Is it really possible? Thank you.
Thank you, Wilson.
The answer is yes, I've seen it possible. I think that, and in the case that I'm thinking about, I think the person, let me stop for just a second, because it's coming up in my mind now, 2 or 3 other people also. It's not usual that someone will do this. The times which I have been involved in it, when they have done it, were times when there was big stress in their business and there was new competition coming in. They had to have a reason why everything we've been, all the money we've been making, what's going to stop us, or who's against us now, or where have we made mistakes, and how do we basically get over them faster and faster. And that, it goes back to, they've got to think that there is a business purpose for this change, for people like you're talking about. And it is, I've seen it in multiple types of events, that things are not going bad, things are going downhill, mistakes are being made, and it's like, wait a minute, let's look at this whole thing right here. And one company that was a global company, they were having lots of competition, and they're into technology, lots of competition. And they brought together the senior people and saying, what's going on? Why is this happening? Why is this not happening? And, it gets to be pretty, it's not my fault, it's his fault, it's her fault, it's da-da-da. And at some point, all right, somebody's got to say, wait a minute, we're all in this together. If we don't want to be this in together, we may as well basically sell ourselves as fast as we can before we go down the hill. And it's that type of conversations that sometimes will change people who, quote, know it all. It's hard, etc. If good people leave the organization, that sends a big message, all right? If people become extremely, let's say, not willing to have conversations, that sends the message. But it's your point is, I mean, it's very hard. It's very hard. A lot of people with big egos, but it's, you have to go with it in the sense of trying to make it happen. And times that I've seen it when it did not happen, not people who reported to those people left the business. And in some cases went and built or were part of better businesses because of who they were. So it's like sometime you have to have conversations as to what's the downside of what we're doing. Mm-hmm. How can we do this as fast as so-and-so company, which, everybody out over there has a special way of working that's different than ours. Can we do this? And you got to basically call people out in a way that's not personal, because I've never had a person that's, a big ego person basically say, oh, okay, I'm going to basically,
and perhaps sometimes there is a personal trigger, right? Such a health issue or something like that, that could not only at the organizational level, right?
That can do it. Absolutely. A health issue can do it. But anything that basically blows up in the company, that basically is material, that, that those are the places I see people say, maybe, what really is going on here? What can we do to be better, be smarter, et cetera, et cetera?
Fantastic. Julio, please.
Hi, everyone. Professor, thank you again for your time with us. It's truly an honor. I wanted to come back to a concept, and you describe how unlearning is just as important as learning today. And that unlearning is a key part of practicing humility, in my view, and I think yours as well. But I find this especially challenging as we get older and we become more and more attached to our opinions and concepts. And could you share one belief or behavior or that you personally had to unlearn in your career, and how that process changed the way you lead or think? You know, that's my question about like a practical
Yeah.
fact on your side. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably not the right person to ask that question to, and not that you did anything wrong, okay? But if you go back to my life, and that's a long ways, I was always an outlier. I mean, I'll give you. I'm not bragging. I'll give you an example. Once, I went through a couple of changes, but I was, basically. Basically, I was a lawyer, and there's a whole story to that, and that's different. But I became a lawyer, and then at a point, I decided to go into cognitive psychology and other stuff. And then after that, I decided, wait a minute, maybe I do want to go back in the business world, or go in the business world. And the person who was a chairman of a global big company happened to be a person who basically was, I worked in his law firm in New York at one time. And he reached out to me and said, I want to fly you up to New York. I got something I want to talk to you about. And he was he was a big ego guy, and he brought me in there, and he said, this is what I think you'll be really good at doing. And I said, what do you mean doing? He says, well, I'm really giving you an opportunity to come join my company and report directly to me. And I said to him, I says, well, I know nothing about your business. Okay. I was trained to do this, this, and this. And he says, I know, you worked for me in my law firm, and da, 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 da. And he came out and he said to me, the one competency that you have that is good is that you are not afraid of going out in the unknown and learning new things or creating new things. And that's what I need. And so here was a person, and ultimately doing that and then training other people is how I got people to basically, hey, none of us know everything. How do we basically calm down our ego, which allows us to optimize different approaches, better listening to other people feeling like they're being heard, etc., without, if you will, command and control. And so for several years, even before the positivity stuff, I was put into positions where I had to do things and learn things very quickly that I never had before. And that basically eradicated, if you will, my ego. And I mean, I was set, one project, I was sent to Puerto Rico and sent into the mountains where the workers were all women, many elderly women. And, their job was to teach me how to basically create the products they were doing. And, that's sort of was just when I'm sharing these type of things, it's not bragging or anything. It's that emotional thing that becomes so important, and being around people who will help you emotionally is important, and people see, and even men can see that brings positivity out. And it's happened in so many organizations where the leader has basically began saying to people, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that way. I'm sorry I raised my voice. All right. To be that human, and that just basically transforms what goes on in companies. So I really don't have an answer to your question. Is there one way? The only way I've ever been able to transform a big ego person is that they have basically come across a fear. They may not tell people, but a fear, and they know that something's got to give, and they've got to basically change to bring out the better part of people.
Wow,
Thank you.
wonderful. Anna, please.
Thank you very much, Professor Hess, for all your knowledge that you're sharing with us today. And so I have been in my consulting in a lot of organizations, and one thing that I see, and I really I'm trying to help them, but sometimes I don't know where to really get more directions. Is as you said, with AI growing and more consolidation, we are going to get, and we are already living a lot of consolidations these days. And every leader with more consolidation, they end up getting more, increase their scope of work and having to deliver more results. That's part of their job. Otherwise, they don't stay there. But on the other hand, I see that they have been asked to become a better leader, to develop more people, to listen more, to really create a better environment of work, because all this is measured in the big organization. If the environment is not good, and then you go there and start to see where how these guys are working, the middle and senior managers. And so I see with this trend, things going the opposite way of manage better their agenda. Their agenda is just crazy, because they end up adding And it's more people asking because they need to become a better leader, to develop people, and more people asking more time in their agenda. Otherwise, they need to be closer to the business, closer to the different levels, to become to practice a better leadership, understand what is going on. You said in some of your recommendations here, you talk about how you're feeling in their meetings, to what's going wrong here and what we can do. I think these are good tips. What else you see or you would recommend for these guys to have a more manageable agenda and being able to practice and deliver what they are requested?
Well, as you know, that's a difficult question because it all depends on the people, and there's different people in different organizations and etc. And it's a little, what has helped, I didn't say worked, what has helped in recent times in light of this AI stuff is, people understand, the speed at which AI is going. People understand how fast this is all going. And what has worked with some people has been, this AI stuff is moving so fast, and this and this and this. What do you think we need to do in order to basically become highly adaptive faster? How do we change ourselves and our people to think differently, to etc. It's almost like AI is going to require us to think, behave, and work differently. And so how should we work differently? And because I think that's what I just said is true. It's how can we do this? And so it's a little bit getting the people to basically buy into the fact this is a completely new game. This is a new game. How do we optimize our ability to perform in this new game? What do we need to change? Okay, where is it hard for us? Do we have the right approach, the right way we're doing it, the right way we're talking to each other, the right way we're listening to each other? Are we managing ourselves? All right. Are we basically trying to do what we're doing now the same way when we go into AI? No, that is not going to work. And it's somewhat creating a story. Creating a story that people can buy into the why I need to change. And my experience has been that the people who have changed the most are the people who ultimately are the most fearful of losing the benefits they have, or their jobs. And the answers to how to go in and say we need to be thinking differently and everything, it's creating those answers in ways that, okay, how AI is going to be doing this and what what can we change in what we're doing, which will help us to do things that AI cannot do and help us do it faster. It's the stuff that AI is doing is not going to take, it's not going to require lots of people, human people, doing certain things. It's going to be, okay, where does a human part really play? And how do we basically optimize that at the speed we need to do it? What do we need to change? Do we need to manage our ego? Okay. Do we need to manage our mind and how we, how we think, etc. Our emotions. Do we put together, we're gonna basically, go around the circle and everybody gets to speak. And you don't, when the person stops speaking, you can't say, okay, you're wrong. You can say, why did you think that? Or, I think this, what am I missing? It's basically creating new stories for people how to basically react with each other in ways that they haven't been reacting. And AI is the person or thing. AI is the thing that's driving this. And they will see and know, because of everything going on in the paper, everything, that if you're not going to be basically doing well with AI, we're not going to be doing well at all, and I need to go find a new job. And so it's this whole thing about indirectly creating fear by asking questions that have people come to their own conclusions that, I'll use the word holy mackerel, nothing against mackerels, okay? They're nice fish. But it's, it's like this thing about how you, in the things that you're concerned about and I'm concerned about, require us to basically make it possible by how we direct or the model that we're using, that it allows the people to basically not have to say, you're right, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I'm not any good at this, I don't know how I'm doing it and everything, da, 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 da. They're not going to say that. How do I become better? How do I become better? How can we do it faster? Who can help me? Does any of that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's a transformation, okay? The AI world, we're not going to, the way we live is going to change, okay? The way we work is going to change. This thing that's been created, all right, is, you can almost say, a monster, because it's going to have, nobody's going to basically, get to the point they want anymore, doing what they've been doing and forgetting about what's happening with AI and what's happening with managing myself. Very few people go out there in the world learning how to manage themselves. This is all new stuff if you really think about it in recent decades. And the management of self will be the difference between the winners and the losers. And that requires human work. And that requires, and it does work. It does work. If people, you got to start slowly, but you basically have to create a story. What's the big why that I have to change? What's the big why that I have to think differently? And especially, why in the world do I need emotions in my business? Well, because you have emotions in your people, right? And your emotions in your people have substantial, will basically substantially either make you go up in your business or make you go down. And it's all about these behaviors and managing and et cetera. I mean, it's real interesting. I assume most of you have heard the name Ray Dalio or know who Ray Dalio is. Ray is very, 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 very successful. And he, he's, recently been talking about this. What we're talking about here is this, how this, the emotional side of it, which is interesting. And he's gotten to the point where, he's gotten where the point where he's now all over the world, but talking about the emotional side of this, and the where the entities are going to basically succeed and where they're not going to succeed. And he's all into this stuff that I've been into, the adaptive part. How do I adapt? How do I adapt? How do I take, and he just sent out a post on LinkedIn where he basically said the most important thing that he does every day is to, quote, do his mindfulness practice and do his mindfulness practice. And so here's one of the wealthiest people in the world, and he's, every day he's increased in the magnitude of his mindfulness practice to help him be better in this world. And it's this, meditation. He basically said meditation is the key skill I use. He's been using it for years. That's, that's where this is going to go, to help people basically be able to transform themselves. Meditation. You start small and you go big. And I can tell you from people I've worked with and my own personal self is, meditators of the past, and take them now into the AI world, people are meditating more time than they were before. Okay. I mean, my average meditation has doubled in the last 2 years. And that's not bragging, okay? I needed more work to be able to deal with what I'm dealing with what's going on in the AI world and what's going on and trying to help people. And I mean, in the best meditation that I do, where I'm then the most inner peace, I bring inner peace to the table so I can try and listen to people but engage people and share with them so they start buying into the story. And it's and there are now more companies basically taking every day meditation timeout.
And Ed, just to complement, we had this conversation with Peter Senge a couple of weeks ago, and he said that if you do not have a serious cultivation practice for your awareness, your ability to do something useful in this world will be extremely limited. So it's just complements exactly what you said. So it's very interesting. And people, folks, we're running out of time. So we have time for 3 more questions here from Luciano now, and Vicky and Angela to conclude. Okay. So Luciano, please.
Professor Hess, thank you for sharing your lifetime learning with us. Human work, daily practice is more than necessary. I agree totally. In my daily practice, every day I ask myself, what I still need to unlearn or to let go of. So inspired by your book, I ask you, if humility is the new path to excellence and continuous learning is the only sustainable competitive advantage, what do you still struggle to unlearn in your own journey?
What do I struggle to unlearn in my own journey? Every once in a while, my mind will basically tell me something which I find either fearful or wrong, or it emotionally upsets me, all right, every once in a while. And I've had to, and this is just in the recent times that we're all dealing with now. And I've had to basically take more time. I've gone back and reread lots of stuff that I've used. And I make sure now in my meditation and my mindfulness stuff, I make sure that I put on the list, all right, 2 or 3 new things that basically mitigates, doesn't push it away. But when that thing that comes to you, which basically is trying to tell you that you're losing it, or you're wrong, or you messed up, to basically let it just go by instead of taking it. And so I've had some of that. I've had some of that happen, and I increased my mindfulness time that I spend, and that is sort of, do I get some blips? Yes. Do I get any big blips? Thankfully, not now. All right. But it's like there's so much stress out there. And it's in the United States, it's political stress. It's political stress if you live in China. It's political stress. It's almost like everywhere in the world there's political stress. All right. And it's sort of like, okay, come back. Sit down. Take some deep breaths. And the other thing that's helped me a lot in recent time is mantras. When I do my daily walk, I basically say my mantras. All right. And my mantras basically, I'll say something and then I'll wait. But basically, every time I put a foot down, I'm saying a mantra. And I'll go, how long I'm walking, and do mantras. That has really helped me. And the science that keeps coming out that says that if you basically, say mantra, a mantra is a 1 or 2 word thing, okay, as you all know. And the science is showing that that it is it goes into your brain and into your mind, and all of a sudden, the big bad thing or the big hurtful thing or the big crazy thing, just slows down and says, take a deep breath. What's going on? Okay. And so the biggest thing that's helped me, let's just say the last AI year, is mantras on my walk. I'm not thinking about anything else. It's my mantras. And I have 6 or 7 mantras, and it's and then when you come back, and I've had people where I've taken them outside, people that companies that have areas that you can walk and everything with grass and stuff, and I've had people, and I say, okay, two people per person, okay, and take 2 or 3 mantras, and then obviously they have to have mantras, all right, so that's part of what we do before. 2 or 3 mantras, go on a walk, and just do nothing but when you put your foot down, say a mantra. When you put your other foot down, say a mantra, and do that for 30 minutes. And people come back and they say, it's magic.
Thank you, Ed. Vicky, please.
Thank you, Angela. Professor, I don't know if it's a good idea what I'm going to say, but I want to add to what you are saying here. I work 50 years now with probably the theme transformation is my main theme. I am a psychologist, and I work my whole life with people in organizations. And I went through many transformations during this time, 50 years. You can imagine, you and me, we went on through a long time in transformation. And what I wanted to add to everything you said, because I agree, I support, I believe that everything you said is important. That is a way of preparing yourself, taking care of you, being able to go in a new arena and start sometimes all over again. But I think most of the people that are sitting here are leaders in some place. And I think that something that we are not doing is developing our ability to support those who depend on us. We are doing lesser than we should for society. We are in a time where we are very selfish, trying to save ourselves of everything that is coming in front of us because of our fears, because of our vulnerability, not admitting our vulnerability, and so on. I'm just trying to again put here in this arena my fears. I think if we don't do something after preparing ourselves, we don't do something for society, we will have a huge problem. We are already having it. I know because of my agenda. My agenda is absolutely impossible the last year, let's say so. But this year, the worst. So I don't know if you already, prepared people to do, because it's a problem of attitude, a problem of being a citizen, and I just wanted to add this thinking that
Sure. Well, thank you very much. I applaud your thinking. I agree with your thinking. I have been, if you will, using your thinking. And yeah, I mean, it's a very fragile time globally, and it is mind-boggling. And we're not seeing in the world right now lots of resiliency and understanding of the ultimate result of this could be there's going to be significant number of people who are going to be left behind, significant numbers. And it's a global issue, all right? It's a global issue. And I mean, if you just look what's going on in the United States today, and what I'll use his name. I mean, everybody knows it and everything. I mean, if you look at the Elon Musk and the work that he's, doing in the United States, and the progression he's trying to lead, which is going to basically very quickly, there's going to be thousands and thousands of people be put out of work very, very quickly. All right. It's already happening. And so, yeah, I mean, it's very fragile times. And what's so surprising to me, and it shouldn't have probably been surprising, is that it's happening almost in every country in the world right now. I mean, and I have people that I work with in England and everything. And I mean, I got people in their 40s, 50s who have been very successful. And, they're leaving, various countries. They're leaving their countries trying to find a better place for their families and for their people, because they'll be taking some people with them. Yeah, it's you're spot on. You're spot on, and I thank you for sharing, and I applaud you. But it's just really, really amazing at the speed at which this is moving, and at the magnitude of stress around the world. And it raises real questions on ultimately leadership, and ultimately who and how and where.
And Ed, Vicky is a great reference here for all of us, and she has a definition of leadership that I really like, which is leadership is above all an act of citizenship. So it's above all an act of citizenship. So Angela, please.
Yeah, my question is very straightforward, Ed, please, because I know that you have your time restrictions. You have been very close to great CEOs like Herb Kelleher from the Southwest Airlines and the CEO of American Eagle Outfitters. And could you list some of their practices, not with themselves, because you already told about meditation and other possible practices, but with the other people that they worked with? What were their daily practices with their teams for them to be connected, for them to create this positive environment that benefited all the company? Could you list or point one or two?
Well, what it takes in big companies is the leader has to lead it, but ultimately the different leaders in different parts of the company have got to basically buy totally into it. And so it's how you scale it through an organization is the where it gets to be somewhat challenging. And in the areas and you know, right now I don't have anybody like that to basically be able to answer your question. In looking back at it, and there's probably 6 to 7 big companies that the leaders were the type of leaders that you're talking about, and that I was talking about 1 or 2 people. And it takes, and what's interesting is in one of the companies, the leader didn't step down. He just went higher up and gave himself a title. So he still had got held his stock. But he realized that he couldn't basically optimize what needed to be done with his teams. That he was just not built that way, he said. And so he stayed on, but he didn't run the business. The new CEO, he placed a new CEO who was a person that was not a person who basically embraced soft skills. All right, the soft skills. And this person basically then turned something around, and then the founder started it and everything, and so it became a big public company. I mean, he stayed in, and and he was very happy to back out when he basically, came to the conclusion, I can't do what needs to be done. And so the reality is that we need more people like that. All right, that in order to optimize human performance, if I'm not good at it, I need to get people that are good at it. And otherwise, my organization is going to go to zip. But I'm finding right now in this current environment, the stress levels are so high everywhere. Okay. And the fears that are out there. And it's going to be the next couple of years, and AI will basically keep going. It's probably going to increase everything what we're talking about. And there's not yet a good story out there that's viable that says, here's how we can basically, make this work. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, Ed. Absolutely. Ed, well, as I said before, being able to call you friend and mentor has been one of the greatest gifts of this program. And so, once again, on behalf of this group, we'd like to deeply, deeply thank you once again for your generosity, for taking your time to be with us. Everyone here, I'm sure, has had a memorable occasion. And of course, it's a great privilege for us. And of course, we also hope to meet you once again in the future. We're going to keep trying to bring you here and counting on your, I would say, endless generosity with us and your friendship. And so, folks, let's give a round of applause to Ed, because it's a lifetime here. It's a long journey to bring all this wisdom here for us. So Ed, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to everybody. All the best. All the best. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye, everyone. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Bye bye, folks. Bye.